You are the first one we're doing this. We're calling this new segment. I'm calling it "The Voices in Our Game" because I want to introduce people to that broadcasters, people that do the stuff behind the scenes at the games in Erie County, just to get some people. They might hear your voice on the Barrie broadcast, but they don't have the name and the face and everything else. They don't know the backstory of who Ben Davy is really. So that's what we wanted to do tonight.
Nice. Well, I appreciate that. You've done a great job with these podcasts so far, by the way. I've really been enjoying them. So,
well, thank you.
How's my lighting is okay here?
You're good. You're good.
I thought my bookcase was bigger than it was. I was envisioning my bookcase would be in the whole shot. Yeah. Unfortunately, it looks really small behind me, and I can't back up any farther. So,
no, it's all right.
If you have books behind you, you always look a little bit smarter than you really are.
Yeah, so. I should probably start thinking about it. I only got the one up there with the Standard County record book. I got to put some other stuff.
Your backdrop looks very sportsy looking. Like
yeah.
It's just like you got like the stadium lights kind of, which I love.
Yeah, we're trying our best here. We're having some fun with it, and every time Jenny will get it around here and say, "You got to you got to add something else to it." Like she got the pillows this year, and she got the little signs and everything else. But yeah, it's just like if I was to bring out the Blue Jay wall, it looked kind of funny. Where the Derek Jeter stuff that I took at Yankee Stadium, it looked kind of fun as well. But I don't know. And people ask, "Well, why do we get a picture? How do I get that picture?" And I'm like, I'm not selling the picture because I don't want to get in trouble.
Are you a Yankees fan?
No, I'm actually a Jays fan, but I was very fortunate in 2008 for my bachelor party. My best friends all got together and got me tickets to the seventh last game at Old Yankee Stadium, and I got to sit 2 rows from home plate. So
my gosh!
So I'm fooling around with my buddy's camera, and Derek Jeter is like literally probably the distance between me and my computer monitor away from me. He's just getting ready on the on deck circle. And he's like, "Do you want me to pose or something?" Like I'm just like, just act natural, just I'm just so that's my interaction with Derek Jeter.
That's like, you just soak every minute of that up because you're like, I'm probably never going to get a seat like this, especially for a Yankees game ever again.
Well, I remember texting my fiance at the time going, yeah, we can never go to another Yankee game as long as I live. Just because this is never going to top this. There's no way anything is ever going to top this. So, it's just like, yeah, the bar's been set. Thank God they tore down the old stadium, so I don't have to worry about that. So if we do decide to do eventually do go to the new Yankee Stadium, it's a clean slate.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get started in broadcasting? Because I know you've got a history. You were with the Baycats in 2005, if I'm not mistaken. The first year they won the championship. I guess that was your first year doing the broadcast for Rogers TV back then?
Yeah, Rogers did a limited selection of games in 2005 and some playoff games as well. Unfortunately, we didn't cover the championship clinching game at home. And that is something that has just always kind of gnawed at me over the years because I would have got to call that game.
Yep.
It was supposed to be on a Saturday night, and it rained. And it was rescheduled for Sunday evening, and they didn't have enough crew that could work the truck and the cameras and everything like that. So unfortunately, we didn't have a broadcast of that game. So I just watched it upstairs, and I think somebody recorded it from the team, recorded it on a camcorder or something.
Yeah,
so that's the best we have. But
hey, at least it's something. There's been years, of course, it's like, we're just kicking ourselves, even in Guelph, as far as when Guelph was good back in 2003, 2004. It was like, Rogers didn't really do much because, again, it was just volunteers, manpowers, and it's the middle of summer, so they're not going to have the same kind of bodies and volume they do usually.
Yeah, and it was a brand new thing for us, too. It was my first live play-by-play sports announcing gig ever.
Yeah.
I ended up doing some OHL games with the Barrie Colts as well. I actually did play-by-play with them for 9 seasons. But 2005 was my first time on a live play-by-play mic, so I was probably pretty rough. Our whole crew was a little bit rough, I'm sure, but it was a lot of fun, and great things have happened since.
So then I think you were to 2011, then you took a break because of your kids and everything else, and then Barrie goes on that incredible run. I like the comment you wrote as far as everything else. I didn't miss it. I was just watching I was cheering the stands like everybody else was.
Yeah, the final game I called in 2010 was ironically the Brantford Red Sox IBL clinching win in Barrie. And they had a streak of championships, of course. And then in 2011, my kids they were about 6 and 4, and my son wanted to play baseball, and I really wanted to coach his team. So I thought, you know what? that season of my life, it was really important to spend as much of my summer months as I could with the kids. So it was hard to step down, but I thought, you know what, I can always come back to it when they're older. Yeah. Didn't assume that I would get that chance, but we watched a lot of the games, that six-peat of championships from 2014 to 2019. We were in Kitchener to watch that and celebrate with them in 2019, the last one of the six. My kids will never forget that. So lots of great memories, and I didn't expect it, but the opportunity came back up when Josh Matlow took over the team in 2020, the pandemic year. Yep. And we had a lot of time to kind of get things figured out to sort of relaunch kind of a new chapter in the team's history.
Oh, no question. And as far as I love watching you and Julius do the games together. It's great to see you guys and how well you bond together as far as everything else goes. I'm always worried, especially when I do a lot of games in different places, I'm going to tell the same story over and over again. So I'm always worried I'm going to run out of content. So how do you keep things fresh as far as that stuff goes too?
Well, you call games for a lot of different teams. I notice you're in Guelph one night, you're in Hamilton the next, Kitchener the next. So, I mean, you've really got to be aware of the whole league. I just kind of dial in on the Baycats, and I'm at all the home games, and I go to some road games when I can. But when you're following just one team, you get to know the storylines throughout the year. You kind of you're riding the waves with the club, the ups and downs, and so that is fairly easy when you're close to the players and you're following the team, one specific team game in, game out. But I do find I have to kind of double my prep on the visiting teams, some of the clubs that we may not get to see a whole lot, especially like at Chatham-Kent or some of the teams out west that, you know, with the way the schedule is now, it's not balanced. So that requires a little bit of extra prep just to get the storylines. And I always like to get to the ballpark early as well, talk to the visiting manager and find out what's going on with that club that I don't know, because I'm not watching them every single day, but their viewers deserve a broadcast from a crew that is up to speed on all the developments.
Oh, no question as far as that stuff goes. And as far as then you run into these extra inning games where it's like, okay, how do you pace yourself for 12 innings? Like, thankfully, you and Julius had split it up that game, but it was just like, if this goes any longer, these poor guys are going to need an oxygen mask or something.
You know what? It's not the extra inning games that I mind. The hard ones are like the 15-2 games, the blowouts that just they seem to go a lot longer than they need to for some reason, 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And it's like, okay, we know what the outcome of this is going to be. And we kind of go off on tangents a little bit. You know, you have to sort of be in touch with the flow of the game, but we talk about some just general baseball related stuff. It doesn't always have to be IBL related. And I think the fans and viewers enjoy that too.
I think Josh and I went to game 3 of that Chatham-Kent series. It was like, okay, we're not going to keep mentioning the score. It's bad. People can read, so, you know, we're not going to mention the score. We're just going to focus on the positives. We're going to focus on what Chatham-Kent has done well on the season and everything else, what the Royals have done well in the season, and just try to keep it upbeat as possible and just hopefully try to will the game to get through a little faster.
Exactly.
So if you were sitting in our chairs as a young broadcaster now, what would you be telling somebody to focus on if they want to get into a broadcasting career like this?
Well, what I did was I sat in front of the TV with a tape recorder and my microphone, and I put mute on the TV, and like a lot of guys, just announced the game as I watched it in my living room, and seemed a little bit silly to my brothers and my parents who didn't quite understand what I was doing, but it was a passion. Oh, exactly. And I figured out pretty quick that you know, as much as I love playing baseball, I played a lot of sandlot games in my neighborhood with friends and stuff, but didn't have anywhere near the kind of potential to make a career out of it as a player, much less get drafted anywhere. So broadcasting was kind of the next thing that I looked at, and actually didn't pursue sports broadcasting right away. I got into radio and hosted a morning show in Barrie for about 10 or 12 years. And when the Baycats came to Barrie, that was sort of my open door to get into it. But awesome. Just starting off as, you know, an intern, a volunteer, whatever you can get. It's not going to be a paid gig probably off the bat. But just show up, and if you've got a voice and a passion and you love sports, you know, you can create your own opportunities if you work really hard at it.
So who were some of your role models? Who do you model your broadcast after when you were practicing in front of the things and everything else? I was very fortunate because where I live in Guelph, it's like, okay, some nights on a clear night, we pick up Ernie Harwell broadcast in Detroit, but other nights it was Tom and Jerry every night. So it was just, you know, I find myself sometimes just slipping into the Jerry Howarth role, and there she goes, will sneak out somehow.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry for me too. Grew up listening to them, but I quickly discovered that on clear nights in the summer, you can pick up AM radio stations from the U.S. all over the place. So I listened to Ernie Harwell, KMOX St. Louis, 1120, surprisingly clear signal. So I listened to some Cardinals games, some of the Cubs and White Sox games. So I just loved listening to baseball on the radio as a kid. As far as television, Vin Scully, Bob Costas, to me, those were kind of the gold standards. I really, really loved Vin Scully's storytelling ability and the way he could just talk over the game, and it just fit perfectly. He had a real gift, and he did it all by himself too. He very rarely worked with a color announcer.
Well, exactly. That's what he was, one of those guys. So, if I could ever get to that point where I could talk like Vince Scully over a baseball game, and people have more interested in what I had to say than what was actually going on in the field, and I think I've done something.
Yeah, I mean, he would start a story, and it would just fit the half inning perfectly. It was just never seemed rushed. And, you never start a story with 2 outs ever.
No.
Because you'll get into it and then it'll be the commercial break. So he would just know exactly when to begin, and it would just fit the pace of the inning perfectly. And always loved Vin. Bob Costas, to me, he's just been around so long. He just seems to be such a historian, so eloquent with the English language, the way he describes what he sees. I've always really learned a lot from just listening to his style too.
That's awesome. So as you guys get ready for the 25th season of the Barrie Baycats, are you guys planning anything big on your end as far as stuff goes? I know Josh has got some, and they got some retro throwback nights planned as far as that stuff goes, but anything we're going to see on the broadcast? Are you bringing back some former players to sit in for innings and stuff like that as well, or not?
Well, we did a lot of that last year when we retired 4 Baycats jersey numbers. So that was really exciting. Jeff Cowan, Ryan Spataro, Angus Roy, and Brad Bissell. And we had a game where they all came out along with some of the other people related with the Baycats during that era, and had their numbers up retired on top of the broadcast booth. And they came on for interviews with us, and that was great. A lot of storytelling, a lot of great memories from the 6 straight championships. I know there'll be lots of exciting stuff in the works this year. I think they have an anniversary logo that's been designed. Haven't seen it yet, but
you haven't seen it.
A lot of fun.
I'll make sure I send it to you. Sam sent it to me a couple days ago, so I'll make sure I flip it over to you.
You've seen it and I haven't. Well, how about that? I'll show it to me later.
Sometimes it's just who you ask. Sometimes I guess that's how it is. But Sammy's like, oh, I know. He's always goes above and beyond as far as anything with the Barrie Baycats. He's just like, what do you need? And he's like, okay, give me 10 minutes, and he sends it off or something as quickly as he can. Just a great guy.
He's amazing. And our whole team I'm proud of. Obviously, I'm biased because I get to work with them every game. But to me, they are the best in the IBL. I just see them working so hard, showing up early for the games. My broadcast partner, Julius Hern, this is new for him. He's still a student studying broadcasting, and he'll be on the mic for his 2nd season with me this year. And he's already pro level, in my opinion. So,
no question.
I
think it's just as far as that stuff goes. Julius is definitely one of those guys that's like, okay, he's going to go places. He reminds me a lot of Dylan Baker and certainly Exeter and everything else. Of course, we know Dylan's going to wind up in Sportsnet probably within a month or so after he's done school anyway.
I'm surprised he's not there already, to be honest with you. He's top notch for sure. He could probably end up anywhere he wants. So we've got some really good announcers in this league. And, it's fun. It's fun to surf around on YouTube and get a chance to watch the broadcasts and hear the different voices from around the league.
It definitely is. So I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Top 5 Baycats of all time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, top 5 of all time.
Yeah.
Well, Angus. I mean, the 4 that I mentioned. I mean, I really don't even feel like I can exclude any of them. Angus Roy,
definitely,
who managed the team and pitched and has all kinds of records set. Jeff Cowan, a mainstay with the organization for so many years. Ryan Spataro, spark plug, led the league in so many offensive categories. And Brad Bissell, just an innings eater. Those 4. I mean, I couldn't leave any of those 4 off the list, to be honest with you. You're going to let me throw in a 5th?
Yeah, I'll throw one more in there. And then you're probably going to get hate mail from the other 10 you forgot.
I love Brad Grieveson, to be honest with you. He's one of my favorites. Not only a friend, but he's a legendary ball player and a great coach. He's been the pitching coach for the Baycats for the last number of years, and his number might be the next one to be retired. Who knows? I was so glad that he got the ball for the final 3 outs of Game 4 in Guelph, because it was so well deserved. And for him, I mean, to kind of have bookend championship rings. He was there as a rookie in 2005 when they won their first championship, left the organization for a prolonged stretch, like myself, I guess, came back in 2021, and now he's been an important part of the Baycats bullpen, and still throwing the heat at 43, 44 years old. He's still got it, and he still loves pitching. So
he does, definitely.
I'll put him at number 5.
All right, that's it. That's a really good list. That's a really good list as far as that stuff goes.
And I've left off so many guys.
Oh, I know.
Probably hear about it later.
Oh, I know. It's like, I can't believe you left off so and so. That always happens. It always happens. Even when we're doing the IBL top 5s on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it's like, oh, why did this guy get this position? I'm like going, well, there's sometimes I'm trying to get a conversation started. Other times it's just like I want to see what people react to. So, it's, there's some method to the madness sometimes when we're putting social media together.
Well, some of us in Barrie took exception to you leaving Tyler Plumpton off your list of top 5 catchers.
I heard that. I heard about that one. I'm sure Mr. Plumpton will have words with me at some point, and I'll entertain that conversation.
But then you have to ask, the question you have to ask is, well, if I put him in the top 5, who would you suggest that I take off the list?
Well, exactly.
And then you look at the other 5 names and you're like, boy, it's pretty hard to make a case for any of them. So
exactly. Most underrated player on the Barrie Baycats. Which one do you think doesn't get enough? I don't want to say credit, compliments, enough flowers that really deserves a little more push.
Yeah. Well, boy, it's hard to say. I mean, I don't want to say underrated because he's such a great player, but he really went under the radar during the regular season this year, and that was Adam Odd.
Yeah.
By his standards, certainly not the type of regular season numbers wise that I'm sure he was hoping for. Yeah. But boy, when the playoffs hit, he kicked it into a higher gear. I mean, definitely. Him and Roy Sando was another one. Royce played, I think, just 8 regular season games, but came in the playoffs and did exactly what he needed to do. Adam Odd's home run in Game 1 of the IBL Championships against Guelph was a moment I'll never forget. That game was just so much drama in that game. They had the big lead, they blew it, and pulling it out in the 12th inning with that walk-off home run. The series could have gone differently if they had dropped the opener. Well, so who knows what could have happened.
Well, exactly. I think that's what the Guelph fans look at too. If we would have won that first game, we have them on the ropes. They're coming back to our park, and that second game where it was so tight, we were so close so many times. But Hernandez or somebody else up the middle made a great catch, and it was like Kenise Ejo with a diving catch in center field, even that stopped the rally in the 5th inning. It was just one of those.
It was, I don't think I'm overstating this. It was the most dominant postseason that I have seen with my own eyes in my years calling IBL baseball. Undefeated, 10-0 through the playoffs, 93 consecutive completed scoreless innings. And that's a streak that they're going to take into opening night 2025. So, I mean, who knows how long that streak's going to keep going. But of those 93 innings, there was only one inning where they even trailed in the top half of the inning.
Yeah, that was
that Guelph game.
That was Game 1. It was
just Game 1. So just unbelievable postseason dominance, and it really went about as perfectly as a playoff run could possibly go.
Oh, exactly. Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I really do appreciate you being the first one on the hot seat as far as what we're trying to do with the voices of the game. And this has been a lot of fun. And I just appreciate what you guys do in Barrie and just what you do personally as far as for the league as well. So I just wanted to say thanks for that.
Well, thank you, Neil, and thanks for the work that you've done around the league and with these podcasts as well. And I want to say a huge shout out to our manager, Josh Matlow, who's given me an opportunity to come back and sort of have a second life as a play-by-play broadcaster. But beyond that, I'm just so impressed with what he's done with this organization, how hard he's worked, rebuilding this team to a championship level. Seeing the win total improve every year since 2021. And to me, I mean, how he did not win Manager of the Year was just an absolute travesty in my mind. He will win it one year. Hopefully it'll be this year. We'll see. But he's one of the great baseball minds in this league. And we're lucky to have him here in Barrie.
Oh, no question. Because you think about how when he took over the team, everybody had just retired. And it's like, here you go. Here's the keys to the kingdom. Don't mess this up. And by the way, you got to win a champ. You got to find a way to win a championship again. And it's just like
there were only a couple of guys that came back from 2019. Ryan Rio was one of them. Branfi Infante, maybe 2 or 3 other guys. So it really was about as wholesale of a rebuild project as you could possibly have. All kinds of new people on the field and off, and every year it's just been one step closer to the exciting finish that we had in 2024.
So how are you guys going to handle Hernandez brothers in the infield now? So how are you going to get?
It'll be fun.
I'm just like, it's going to be Hernandez to Hernandez on the double play, or are you just going to start using their first names? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, Francisco and Brandon. Francisco at second, Brandon at short. And I'm not sure if they'll have F Hernandez and B Hernandez on their uniforms, but hopefully, haven't met Francisco yet. So I don't know if he looks a lot like his brother. It might be a little bit tricky, but we'll see. Francisco, we're very excited to have him. He's a little bit older than Brandon, I believe, and Brandon joined the Baycats mid-season and absolutely tore it up for us at shortstop last year. So. And both boys are from Montreal, so they're Canadian ball players. And Francisco, I understand, played high-level A-ball for the St. Louis Cardinals. So we're going to be excited to see what he can bring to Barrie this season.
Yeah, definitely go Google his highlight reel on MLB's website, the minor league baseball stuff. He's got a couple of great plays that are in there. It's just ridiculous plays he makes. So you thought Brandon with a great glove. We wait till you see his brother. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
it'll be a fun year.
Middle infield looks very exciting for the Baycats, no question.
No question. Ben Davy, thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you very shortly on the ball field, I'm sure.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Neil.